Earth is a spaceship, just like Apollo. And just like Apollo, the crew must learn to live and work together. We must learn to manage the resources of this world with new imagination.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
Oui, bébé, l'espace.
Je t'aime.
Jamie, who was that?
It was Jim Lovell, the one and only.
Mm-hmm.
It's 50 years today, December the 21st, 1968. Apollo 8 launched from the Kennedy Space Center.
It's amazing, isn't it?
What a Christmas that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine. I wasn't born for another 11 years, but you get my point.
Yeah, it's the first Christmas in space, in fact.
Absolutely.
First people to leave Earth. First people to see Earth as a whole planet.
Just incredible. We came all this way to explore the moon. And the most important thing is that we discovered the Earth.
So cool.
William Anders. Slam dunk.
The old Bill. Well, we covered Apollo 8 quite extensively on podcast 60.
Yes.
Which is exactly 52 podcasts ago, you may notice.
It is.
Because it was exactly this time last year. I really enjoyed that episode. I loved learning about Apollo 8 and how incredible it is. And then podcast 75, Jamie, we interviewed Robert Curzon, who's got a really fantastic book out about Apollo 8 called Rocket Man.
We did, and yeah, you must get that book. It is beautiful.
And talking of books, also David Baker has one with the gloriously ace Anatoly Zak, the Race to Space anniversary edition.
So
coming out
good
this year.
And let's not even talk about our interview to look forward to very soon is with the wonderful Kate Howells and her book, Matt.
What's the title of her book, Jamie?
Space is cool as fuck.
Jamie, that really is. That's really beyond the pale.
It sounds a bit more harsh when an English person says it, doesn't it?
Than a Canadian, yeah.
There we go.
Just a quick few facts about Apollo 8, Jamie.
Hit me.
First Christmas for humans in space.
Boom. Tick.
First humans to travel beyond low Earth orbit.
Tick.
First people to see Earth as a whole planet.
Huge tick. Wait, hang on a minute, Matt. Are you telling me that it's not a flat plane?
Well, we've only got Jim Lovell, Will Anders, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Eugene Cernan.
I saw a flat earther say, yeah, but you see, all these astronauts are military men and women, and they're all from the military. It's like, no, they're not.
Well, Neil Armstrong isn't to start off.
No, they weren't. They're teachers, and I mean, it's just. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. But first people to see the far side of the moon.
Tick.
First people to see an Earthrise.
Oh, yes.
And the first people to re-enter Earth's gravity well.
And they managed the Van Allen belt problem.
Yeah, it turned out it wasn't really much of a problem because you go through quite fast. Well, I'm sure if you don't want to linger around in there for certain. Jamie, if you're wondering for something to do this weekend, if you're in London or you're not in London, you're travelling to London this weekend, pop into the Science Museum because Bill Anders' spacesuit is on display there.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm in London on Saturday, Max. I'm going to see a climbing film called Free Solo. So maybe I'll pop by after.
Isn't that Return of the Jedi?
Good.
Thanks.
Good.
It took you some time.
This isn't the podcast host you're looking for.
So, I want to wish Yuri Ivanovich Malenchenko a happy birthday, or Uzdnem Rojdenya.
Nice. Happy birthday,
Malenchenko.
We're on first half of first name terms.
First half of last name terms.
Damn it. It's all right. I'm just checking that you were still awake, Matt.
Yeah,
you
I
are.
am. He is. He's a retired cosmonaut, and you know he's one of the top career time in space because he's been on both Mir and the International Space Station, so he's proper clocked up the hours.
Double whammy.
I think he might be number 2. He may be number 3. I can't work it out. But get this: he's the first person to marry in space.
What?
Yeah, he married Ekaterina Dmitrieva, who was in Texas. Obviously, that's a very traditional Texan name. And he was flying over New Zealand at the time. on the International Space Station.
You just have to have a license, don't you, to be able to marry someone?
It must change for wherever you are.
I guess so. Yeah.
There's a specific rule for being 240 miles over New Zealand.
You may now kiss the space bride.
Born December the 22nd, 1961.
Happy birthday, old boy.
Jamie, good news this morning.
I need some.
Alexander Gerst, our German ESA friend,
love him,
arrived safely home along with Serena Anon-Chancellor.
Now, I saw this landing because our mate Eric Berger put up on Twitter that you could watch the landing live, and me and Jake, our other mate in the podcast world, were quite excited about that one. So glad that they have landed safely.
I want to stop you. It should be Jake and I, not me and Jake. But let's press on.
You're just not cool.
So they
just don't speak like us street kids.
They touched down on the snowy steppe of Kazakhstan at 12:02, or to you, 5:02 this morning.
Welcome home, boys.
1 minute ahead of schedule. And I always think about that. If it was ahead of schedule, does that mean they were going slightly fast and therefore it was a bit bumpier when they hit the ground?
Interesting.
Yeah, 197 days in space. And it was a very eventful time, what with people drilling holes in the Soyuz and a Soyuz not quite making it up.
Woo! I was going to say, I wonder if there's some slight relief.
Yeah, well, I mean, they almost thought, of course, that they were going to have to man the spaceship for a bit.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. What else has happened this week in space?
Well, we can't not talk about the excellent Virgin Galactic footage.
Good old Brano.
So Mark Forger Stuckey and CJ Sturkrow piloting VSS Unity.
Yep.
I know you love a stat, Matt.
No, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Mach 2.9 soared to an altitude of 82.68 kilometres. Matt, is this what Jonathan McDowell thinks of as space?
The last I saw, he was thinking that maybe, over 80 kilometres feels like space.
Feels like or is?
Well, I mean, it's all arbitrary, isn't it?
Well, I think. I think. Do you know what?
There's not an actual line.
I don't think it matters. I'm just putting it out there, and I'd like to congratulate them. And wow, I mean, that's a big step for them, isn't it? Because I can remember when I first moved to London, I applied to be crew. It's taken them a long time, and I think that they appreciate now how difficult it is just to get into space. But fair play to them, respect.
Well, yeah, I don't think Virgin are getting the kudos they probably deserve right now. Right, we were supposed to have 4 rocket launches yesterday. 4. I say 4. But the Americans couldn't get their act in gear. So the Indians and the Europeans managed it. So we'll start with the Indian triumph first. The GSAT-7A satellite was launched by their GSLV Mark III.
Oh, it's my favourite type.
I was looking at the pictures of the, I guess it must be the Sriharikota launch facility. And their buildings are beautiful because they're all painted in kind of pinks and purples. They're, vehicle assembly buildings. It's beautiful, isn't it? It is amazing. Yeah. Looks really good, doesn't it? I thought it'd be worth noting that India are studying how to reuse their spent rocket stages.
Okay.
Yes. So on their other launch vehicle, the PSLV, the 4th stage, they're looking at using that as a kind of satellite, as a very cost-effective way of having what was going to just get chucked away and burnt up in the atmosphere or just into some form of graveyard orbit.
That is
they're
clever.
Going to use and sort of get it into a orbit and use it for experiments for university students and other people who might.
I like that. That's very eco of them. I'm all for it.
Well, I've not heard of that type of reusing rocket stages, but it's very clever, isn't it?
It's very clever. Well done, India.
And the other successful launch was by the Europeans of a French armed forces satellite by a Soyuz flying out of Kourou.
Okay.
The Delta IV Heavy and the GPS satellite on a Falcon 9, both scrubbed. They were both non-go.
They're gone.
Bepi Columbo.
Oh, Bepi.
She's been firing her electric propulsion for the first time. It's going to go flying around.
Okay.
Get this. It's got to travel 9 billion kilometres and do 9 flybys of Earth, Venus and Mercury and loop around the sun 18 times. And to do that, it's got to burn its thrusters 22 times. And this is the first one. So they're firing up these electric propulsion. And normally, if you've got your kind of normal rocket engines, it would last a few minutes, at most a few hours. These are ion propulsion units, very, very, very advanced.
Extremely advanced.
Very advanced. And do you know what? This thrust.
Stop saying thrust.
Instead of being on for hours, is going to be on for 2 months.
Ooh.
Of just blasting out there. So it can swing by Earth in April 2020. It's quite a
How
slow.
can it do it for that long?
Because ion propulsion is extremely efficient.
Sounds like it. 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months, and that's nowhere near burning through its fuel. So very, very, very high specific impulse.
Wow.
Yes. Bepi Columbo's maximum planned thrust level for the entire journey is 250 millinewtons. Now, just to put that into perspective, Jamie, Bepi Columbo's being dragged around the solar system by the equivalent of 250 ants.
Okay, mine's been blown.
Yeah.
We've only been talking for 20 minutes.
It's 4 tons. 4 tons Bepi Columbo weighs, but even though they've got tiny thrust, they're incredibly efficient, and it's a fantastic way of getting around the solar system, as proved by missions like Rosetta and Dawn.
It's pretty good, that. It's pretty good, that thrust. It kind of sounds like my Tinder profile. Yeah. Wow. I mean, listen, it's an out-of-world experience,
It
Matt.
is.
Now, listen, Matt, exactly 1 year after the signing of the Prometheus demonstrator development contract between the European Space Agency and Ariane Group, testing of the 3D printed gas generator has started at the DLR site in Germany. Can you pronounce this town, Matt?
Lampoldshausen.
I love it.
Prometheus is a rocket engine that doesn't get anywhere near the amount of press that it should do, I don't think. Everyone is talking about all the others, but this is a very important rocket engine for Europe, I would say.
I concur.
In fact, I can't put it better than Alain Chameau, who's the CEO of Ariane Group, stepping down at the end of this year. The success of the gas generator campaign, as well as compliance with the scheduled Prometheus design review date, is excellent news for the development of the European technologies of tomorrow and the future of Europe's launches. It is vital to demonstrate the pertinence of our technological choices less than a year before the ESA Ministerial Conference, which will decide the evolution of Ariane 6.
Sorry to any French people listening, but actually I thought that was pretty good, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. But the great thing about this particular rocket engine is that it uses methane.
Oh. Matt, let me ask you a question. Who else uses methane?
Oh, good question. Well, no one really uses methane at the moment, but it looks like that's all about to change. So Blue Origin, of course, have built the BE-4.
Correct.
Which United Launch Alliance have purchased essentially for their Vulcan, their new Vulcan rocket, which we announced on our 100th podcast live.
We dropped that. Yeah, we dropped that bomb.
Yes, and of course it will feature on New Glenn, of course. But SpaceX are building the Raptor engine as well, which runs on methane. The Europeans are already developing Mira for the Vega rocket. And Mira is a fourth stage rocket engine, I believe. But why, Jamie? Why methane?
Well, let me give you some points.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, methane being not a long chain of carbon means that there are less intermediate products. So you avoid having soot forming in your rocket's plumbing. This is a good advantage over RP1 for reusable rockets. Yeah.
Yeah, because RP1 is made up of lots of different hydrocarbon chains, and so you get all sorts of different byproducts and coke forming in the, like you said, in the plumbing.
Nice. What else?
Well, so methane has got lighter exhaust, and so, as you know, Jamie, that translates into a higher specific impulse.
That's absolutely right. And it's less dense than RP1, but more dense than liquid hydrogen. Bit of a downside, but not that bad.
Yeah, so because it's less dense than RP1, we've talked about this before, where the fuel tanks have to be bigger to carry it. And of course, if you've got bigger fuel tanks, it means it's heavier, which means you need more fuel. And if you need more fuel, you need bigger tanks. And if you need bigger tanks, you need more fuel. And the rocket equation.
Oh, don't get me started.
But the other advantage, as far as I can see, is that it burns cooler. And so it's better for reusable engines. You don't have to work so hard to stop all the engine parts being destroyed by the ridiculous heat.
Absolutely. And it can be made on Mars using the Saboteur process. Ship hydrogen to Mars, and then that can be converted into methane using the planet's CO2. This blows my mind. I love the idea of us doing this.
One of the first times that was proposed was in which book?
Oh, I don't know, but was it anything by Arthur C. Clarke?
No.
Oh, who?
Bobby Zubrin. Bobby Z.
Bob.
And his Mars Direct.
What a legend.
But it's I say quite easy. You should see how hard it is. But in terms of rocket science, it's quite easy to convert. If you've got loads of hydrogen, you can make methane and liquid oxygen just using the Mars's CO2 atmosphere. So it's very, very handy. So presumably that's what Elon Musk has got in the back of his head.
Well, which is also why they were excited to find any water on any outer planet or moon, because we know that we can split that into oxygen and hydrogen.
Yeah. Jamie, I've got Space Word of the Week.
You haven't?
Yeah, I have.
What is it?
Autogenous pressurization.
Oh.
Autogenous.
Is that one word?
Well, no. Space words.
Space words phrase of the week.
Space phrase of the week.
Okay, hit me with it.
So, the great thing about using methane is, you've got to have pressure in the tanks. Basically, you're using so much fuel, tons of fuel, like pouring out the back of your spacecraft all the time.
Yeah.
You obviously need lots of pressure to push it through the rocket itself. And that pressure with SpaceX, they use helium tanks and pressurized helium to push it through. But with this, you can use methane to pressurize the methane tanks by just circulating a bit of the methane round the hot engines to get it into high pressure.
Get it warmed up. Love it.
And that is a clever use and makes the whole rocket simpler, less complicated, and probably less heavy. So that's autogenous pressurization.
Well, I love that. I'm going to remember that one. I might put that in everyone's cracker at Christmas.
Yeah, and as the cool methane goes round the engine parts, of course, it can keep the engines cold. So because methane is cryogenic, it keeps everything cold. So
wait, Matt, are you saying that not only is it cool, as in the urban word cool,
yeah,
but it's literally cool too?
Yeah, it's cool in both ways. So that is why everyone's trying to create these methane engines, and Prometheus is going very, very well by all accounts. So
congratulations. Do
you know where the word methane comes from?
It comes from a Greek word, because everything's Greek.
Mm-hmm.
Methy, Methy,
mm-hmm.
which is related, as you know, Matt, to the English mead. And
yeah.
hyle, Hyle, means wood.
It was first kind of discovered as a kind of wood alcohol. Yeah, I see what you're trying to say there.
Well, I mean, look it up. Just educate yourself, please.
Good. Methane, wood alcohol. Yeah,
there we go.
Mead hyle. Shall we stick with ESA? I think we should
stick with
ESA.
ESA.
ESA, they've just announced the winners of their new Space Transport Services competition.
Oh, here we go. Who's won?
Yours and my favourite, Space Tug.
Yes!
Get in.
I knew that it would come through.
Yes, and they offer orbit-raising services to satellites customers via electric propulsion. Just the sort of propulsion we were talking about earlier on.
Wow, what a beautiful surprise. Congratulations, Space Tug.
And also congratulations to PLD Space Micro Launcher Miura 5, formerly known as Arion 2.
That is a beautiful thing. Congrats, PLD.
People in the space industry don't have much imagination when it comes to naming rockets and stuff. They always are a bit
really
too similar.
Don't.
Arion 2 sounds a bit like Ariane 2. And not only that, the Vulcain rocket engine, which I believe came first, sounds very similar to the Vulcan ULA rocket.
I mean, I've got a theory that it's Puff Daddy who's naming all of these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, because he was on that trip, wasn't he? Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. Now I think he's back to Puff Daddy again. Just stop.
I don't really care for that sort of thing.
Oh, it's tiring, isn't it, Matt? It's all very tiring.
It is tiring. It makes me tired. That's exactly what happens.
Matt, I'll tell you what doesn't make me tired.
Yeah.
Electron. A Rocket Lab Electron rocket successfully launched a group of CubeSats on December the 16th, Matt. So not long ago.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's ahead of the game, isn't it, the old Electron, when it comes to launching CubeSats.
So this particular flight, known as Educational Launch of Nanosatellites, or the Ilana.
Well, what's wrong with Ilana?
Oh, dear. Let's not forget the 19.
Or Elana.
And this features 3 satellites built by NASA's centres, 6 by universities, and 1 by a charter school in Idaho.
So, Jamie, shall we go straight to our interview of the week?
Let's please go to it.
Right, so this is Kate Howells, the National Canada Coordinator and Global Community Outreach Manager.
Now, we absolutely love this. Kate is our new favourite person ever in the space world, and you'll see why. Roll the tape.
Écoutez.
The Interplanetary Podcast, putting the ace back into space.
We're joined by Kate Howells from the Planetary Society in Canada, and we know she's the ultimate space geek and space legend because she has a tattoo of Voyager. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I was an undergraduate, I first got interested in space, and it was because I read Cosmos by Carl Sagan, and specifically where he describes the Voyager missions and the things that they discovered. That was really just what hooked me into space. So I became a bit obsessed. And then later on, when I first got hired by the Planetary Society, I used my very first paycheck and went out and got this tattoo on my upper arm of Voyager. And since then, it has branded me as a space geek. I can no longer try to hide it, even if I wanted to.
Oh, I mean, that's the ultimate tribute to Carl Sagan, isn't it, in a way, that Carl Sagan paid for your Voyager tattoo. I mean, that's awesome. I must admit, I've been listening to a lot of Carl Sagan's because they've recently released them all on Audible, and I've got massive long commute, so I'm in the middle of the demon haunted world at the moment. What a fantastic book that is! But yeah, Carl Sagan, one of our massive heroes, and I'm assuming
we do often mention him.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's the king.
He really is the king. When did you discover Carl Sagan?
So I think I have like a slight memory of seeing an episode of Cosmos when I was a kid, but I really discovered him as a young adult. I think I was in my early 20s, like maybe 20 years old. And I remember picking up a dog-eared old copy of Cosmos from a used bookstore, just kind of on a whim, thinking this looks interesting. And yeah, as soon as I read that, I was just hooked. So I sought out all of his other books. I devoured the original series of Cosmos on TV, which is just it's so funny because it's so outdated, but at the same time, it's so beautiful and still so great. And so, I just became quite a big Sagan head, you might say.
Yeah, I actually watched Cosmos with my kids a couple of years ago, thinking it was going to be really dated. And I know what you mean, it is really dated, but it's somehow still one of the greatest science documentaries ever made, isn't it? It's just fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I was glad that they tried to remake it, however long ago that was, a couple of years ago, with Neil deGrasse Tyson, but it is not the same. Nobody can really match Carl Sagan for that, the beautiful presentation of fascinating information. I mean, nobody else does it like him.
Oh, absolutely not. There's something very, very calming about Carl Sagan as well. You just really like the guy. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Which Matt is still working on the impression, so we won't put him under any pressure today. But actually, Kate, this brings us nicely on to talking about your book, which is very exciting, because I know that there's a chapter is it a chapter in the book called Love Letter to Carl Sagan, or is that just literally a love letter?
Well, it's the whole entire book doesn't really have many full chapters. It's sort of individual essays, more like. So this one is, sort of a letter form essay. Actually, I don't even think it's a letter. It's just a description of why I love Carl Sagan. I had to put it in there. And I was lucky enough that, for the book, we hired a bunch of artists to illustrate it. And I specifically said to the art director, listen, I want whoever we hired to do the illustrations for the Carl Sagan chapter to be real Sagan fans. I want them to actually know what it is that they're trying to capture. And we got some really beautiful work depicting Carl from real fans. So I was happy about that.
And what would you say is your favorite part of the book?
Oh, gosh. You know what? I like the artwork the best. I think maybe that's because when I read the writing, I'm a little bit self-critical, but I can look at the artwork and just say, wow, these people did an amazing job. I mean, there's such a variety, and so much of it really captures the spirit of space and what's so cool about space. So I think that's got to be my favorite, yeah.
So if you had to pick one image that would be on the front cover, what would it be?
Oh gosh, you know what? I have an answer. It's kind of silly, but my favorite illustration was done by my friend Connor Donaldson, and it's a drawing of Pluto and the dwarf planets, but drawn as though they are the cast of The Sopranos, like the mafia show. Because the piece about Pluto is all about how people got sad when Pluto was demoted from planet status, but now he's the sort of the king of the dwarf planets. He's the boss of this group of celestial bodies. Yeah, so I asked him to draw, a bunch of dwarf planets, but like they're in the mafia, and he just did the best job, and I find it so funny, and I would put that on the cover.
Oh man, that's really cool. Now, one thing I didn't realise is how foul-mouthed Canadians were. Well, the one thing that's quite funny is that we obviously swear quite a lot on our podcast, but I end up editing quite a lot out, and I've always been a bit scared of leaving too much sweary stuff in, just in case we sort of alienate some of our audience. Did you ever have that sort of thought in your head about going too far with the language?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to tell my aunties and my parents' friends that I wrote this book called Space is Cool as Fuck, and I don't know what to do about that a lot of the time. But the idea behind the cursing right on the cover is that it grabs people's attention, and I think it's there intentionally to convey to people, like, this is a lighthearted, fun book. This is not a textbook. And I think that as much as that may alienate some people, the audience that it's really going for are the people that won't be turned off by that and might actually be attracted by it. So as much as sometimes I read back on what I wrote, and sometimes the cursing jumps out at me, and I'm like, oh, what did I have to curse so much? I stand by my decision overall.
But I think you're right. Like, one of the things that we're quite proud of is that we're trying to get a core group of people who are passionate about space, but might be coming at it from a different angle, where they are put off by how serious and kind of grey some parts of the space world can be. So we do want to make it a bit more lighthearted and a bit more kind of free and easy, and it seems to have worked in attracting an audience that might have been turned off. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my experience, like I don't have a science background. I got a Bachelor of Arts back in the day, and so I came to space sort of without the expertise, and I found that so many people that are really deeply involved with space, who whether they're scientists or engineers or policy people or whatever else, they kind of don't have the right perspective to be able to talk about it in a compelling, interesting way that an average person would understand or relate to. So I've definitely found that kind of trying to approach it in a lighthearted way, there's still so much that you can cover in space that is fascinating and interesting without having to get into like technical detail. So for the average listener or reader, you don't have to dumb things down for it to be interesting and accessible to them. There's so much that just on a surface level is fascinating, and to be able to kind of present that in a way that is explicitly open to those people, you know, saying right off the bat, like, this isn't for experts, this isn't for scientists, this is just for whoever you are, that for you to enjoy. I think that's really helpful, because I mean, a lot of people are turned off by science because they think it's out of their reach, because, you know, they did poorly in science classes as kids or whatever else. And I think that's a shame, because there is so much that is really cool about science and just like about the natural world, that if people, I think, were more open to learning about it, they would enjoy it, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, actually, talking about, you just mentioned the word cool. I hear that you met your Prime Minister to talk about space, and I think he's super cool. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, is it true that he's super cool?
Well, you know what? Actually, yeah. Is it A, is it true? And B, is he cool? Because from our perspective, he's super cool, because trust me when I say ours isn't.
Right. Yeah, I suppose yours is notoriously uncool, but
very uncool.
Yes, I got to meet Justin Trudeau because he invited Bill Nye, who's the CEO of the Planetary Society and has become a good friend of mine. Justin invited Bill to come and speak about science, because they put all this science in the federal budget, like all this money for science. And so Bill called me up and said, "Kate, Prime Minister of Canada wants to talk to me. Can you please come tell me what to say to him?" Because Bill is American. He doesn't really know the ins and outs of Canadian, you know, policy issues. So I went along to kind of advise him, but I also just sort of geeked out on meeting the Prime Minister. I mean, it's kind of exciting because, yeah, he does have a really cool reputation. I mean, I am a little bit more liberal than he is, so I have some, you know, criticisms of his policy decisions. But overall, I'm glad that Canada has a prime minister that everybody has a crush on. I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, the thing that everybody asked me after I met him was like, "What did he smell like? How soft were his hands?" like especially Americans have such a big crush on him, but it's, you know, I'm okay with that. And yeah, he's a good guy. He was obviously, he was starstruck by Bill Nye, which I thought was kind of cool, because I got to be, you know, the sort of sidekick to the guy who my own prime minister is geeking out over. That's kind of cool.
I love that. There was a mutual respect thing going on. In fact, people often say the same thing about Matt. They wonder what Matt smells like. You know, and I often have to just make stuff up. Yeah.
No, so I've noticed that you've been writing the blogs that I have seen of yours are often lamenting about Canada's role in space and how it seems to be declining. Is that something that you still think? Is that something that's happening?
Yeah. So yeah, the Canadian space program is kind of at a bad place where it's been neglected politically for a long time, and while other countries are, you know, making big announcements about investing in space, Canada is keeping quite quiet and decreasing its investment in space. And that's, you know, it's a shame for the Canadian industry. Like, you know, scientists and engineers coming up in Canada are having to move abroad, and that's no good. But also, you know, as a person who's seeing more scientific discoveries in space, like, I want to know what the surface of Neptune looks like. So I want more countries participating in that. And, you know, so I'll focus on my own country. My interest is partly, the Canadian economy and all those sensible things, but also partly just I want more space stuff to happen. So a lot of my work the last couple of years has been advocacy in Canada, trying to communicate to the Canadian public that there's an issue here with our lack of space funding, and trying to communicate to the government that, try to show them why this is a problem and why this is worth paying attention to. And we're at a kind of critical moment right now where the Canadian budget is being prepared right now for the next fiscal year. And either there will be a big investment in space so that we can participate in NASA's Lunar Gateway program and send, put another Canadarm robotic piece on that, or just kind of step back and not participate in any more exploration. So it's been an exciting but slightly scary moment for Canada. But at the same time, my sort of global perspective, I recognize that Canada is one player among many, and there are others who are stepping up their game in space. And so if we step back, as a patriotic Canadian, I'm a bit disappointed, but as just a space lover overall, I'm not worried. I think I'll still get to see what Neptune looks like.
Well, yeah, I hope you're right. I mean, the Canadians have been really fantastic. I mean, have you met, presumably you've met Chris Hadfield, or?
You know what? I'm on my bucket list for years now, and I haven't met him. I've been on teleconference calls with him, but I've never actually met him, so I still don't know what he smells like.
That we need to know. That we need to know, for sure. So, Kate, looking back at the year, what was the one thing that stood out for you as the most exciting moment?
Gosh, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm right in my timeline here, but the Falcon Heavy launch, where those booster rockets landed simultaneously, that was within the last year, right?
Oh yeah, we're definitely seeing a pattern there. Everyone we ask seems to say that, and actually we can't disagree. It was absolutely stunning.
Because it was such a display of graceful engineering. I mean, it was gorgeous, and it was impressive, and it was meaningful, because, if we can start to reuse powerful rockets, then that opens up so much for the possibility of space development. I mean, what we can do if it doesn't cost, tens of thousands of dollars per kilogram to send things into space, like that's huge. So that was, yeah, I mean, the rocket man, the guy in the convertible sent into space, bit gimmicky, but still, undeniably cool. But those boosters landing, that was really what got me.
Yeah. I think what's actually hilarious is Jamie's right. The pattern is almost word for word. Yeah. Everyone is saying that that image of the two boosters coming down was just incredible. Yeah, it really is a standout moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are you looking forward to most in 2019? Is there anything really special in space coming up for that?
That's a good question. I have been so focused on just ending this year that I have not. But, I'm excited to see what OSIRIS-REx is going to discover at Bennu. And I'm excited to see what InSight is going to discover at Mars. I'm hoping that the Planetary Society's own spacecraft, LightSail 2, is going to launch in 2019. We're meant to be launching on the next Falcon Heavy rocket, so that would be really cool. But it's being delayed and delayed and delayed. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember whether this is slated for 2019 or if it's been pushed even further back. But James Webb Space Telescope, once that finally launches and is operational,
unfortunately, even further back than that. It's been delayed and delayed. So it sounds like you're much more into the kind of science, the sciencey missions of space, the kind of science element rather than the human exploration element. Am I right?
I'm not that excited by the astronaut program, and I think that partly that's because going and studying space policy, I learned too much. Like, I saw how the sausage was made, and I sort of have become quite critical of the human spaceflight program, especially from NASA, because it's so much a political sort of showy thing, and there's not as much science return. A lot of people disagree with me. This is maybe a controversial opinion, but I think once humans start doing something other than just going to the International Space Station, I'll be excited. Like space tourism, I think is going to be really cool. Like I want to see Bigelow's inflatable space hotels come to fruition, like that kind of thing. But in terms of just sending more and more astronauts to the ISS, I'm not as thrilled. If the Deep Space Gateway or Lunar Gateway or whatever they're calling it these days, if that gets off the ground in like the coming decades, and that actually happens and people actually are going back to the moon and then maybe onto Mars, I think that would be really cool. But honestly, for me, the return that we get from science missions is just so much greater. I mean, being able to get photos back from other planets and moons, being able to get data that show what processes are taking place on these other worlds and how that compares to Earth, or the ways in which it's totally unlike anything we've seen. I mean, that to me is just so much cooler than a person going into space.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think that for me, one of the things, because I was massively into space as a kid, and then mainly from Cosmos, actually, Carl Sagan's Cosmos, growing up with that. But then I sort of drifted away and then came back because of Hubble, really, and all the pictures that Hubble took and the explanations of the the deep field pictures and all those.
Yeah,
and it drags you back in and you go, this is actually amazing.
Yeah.
The science of space, like you said, it really does require people like Carl Sagan to have that really beautiful way of getting the subject matter over in an inclusive way. And I totally agree with what you said earlier on about that a lot of engineers and a lot of people who work in the space industry just seem to be completely unaware of how to do that and how to sort of enthrall people with the majesty of the universe. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because the space scientists I know, the thing that they get most excited about and want to talk about and they think is the coolest is like some teeny feature of a particular type of mineral that they are studying. Like they're so close to it and they think it's really cool on that, granular level, but you have to take a step back. But one thing that I do think is, opening up public appreciation of space more and more is that the imaging technology is getting better and better. Like when the Voyager missions were sending back photos of the outer worlds, I mean, they were pretty cool, but they maybe did take a bit of imagination to really get why they were so cool. And that's where Carl Sagan really stepped in. But now when, you see Hubble images or, images sent back from Cassini or Juno of, the beauty of planets and moons in high res, I think that takes a lot less explaining for people to get why it's cool, because you can just look at it and go, oh my God, that's insane. And so I think it's going to be cool as that kind of technology gets better and better. I would also so love to see virtual reality technology incorporated into space. So like having a VR headset that you put on and then you are seeing these three-dimensional images taken by a spacecraft that's orbiting, Io or something like that. That would just be so cool and so engaging.
That's really funny you should say that, because do you know Stephen Ringler? Because Harriet introduced us to him and we're chatting with him yesterday. He came up with the boosters landing, but he runs a thing called Space Store, which has VR experiences where you go up and you can stick on spacesuits, stick on the VR headsets, and do precisely what you're saying. So
that is cool. Well, there you go.
We were talking to him yesterday, and I'd not heard of it before either until we spoke with him yesterday. It was a really, really cool.
We literally came away knowing what we want for Christmas.
I did not know about this.
Well, yeah, we'll have to send you the link of that so you can check it out. But one thing, Kate, I was going to ask you about was, what advice would you have to anyone who's maybe thinking about getting into the world of space, but they aren't interested in the, too much? They're not interested in the serious side of it. Is there any tips that you could give them about where to begin?
Well, I would say that there are many avenues into space, and you just look to what you're good at. So, I was not well suited to be a scientist or an engineer, so I kind of went policy route because that seemed like the most obvious alternative. But then I wound up finding that my strengths were more in communication and education, that kind of thing. So and I was surprised to find that that was a way that I could work in space. We need people with business skills. We need communicators. We need, every space agency has accountants. There's any strength that you have, any interest that you have, it can be translated into something that's applied to space. So if people are looking to, professionally get involved with space, I would just say, follow what you're good at and then just apply and apply and apply to, every space agency or space company or space nonprofit or space magazine. There's so many different pieces of this puzzle, so many different parts of this industry. And then if you're not getting involved professionally, I would say, because, working in a field is great, but it also becomes your job that sometimes you hate and sometimes you get frustrated with. So if you don't find yourself working in space, but you're passionate about it, don't worry too much. It's kind of nice to keep something as just a passion and a hobby rather than making it the thing that you are depending on for your income, where you have to deal with frustrating people and that kind of thing. So don't despair if you don't make it professionally in the space sector. There are still so many cool ways to get involved, whether it's through citizen science projects or just being able to learn the most up-to-date things as they come out, being involved with organizations like the Planetary Society. I mean, I know that that's kind of my job to plug it, but it is really a cool way to have a direct connection to things that are happening in space. Most cities have some kind of space club. I mean, there's a really thriving community around space. I think if I were, passionate about biochemistry or something, I would have a much smaller community. But space, there are so many people who are into it and who are passionate about it. So I would say, just try to find connections to other people, and you'd be surprised what kind of community can spring up.
That is excellent advice.
That is. I think you could start your own. Space podcast.
I would love to someday. I have ambitions someday of starting a podcast, but not just yet.
Don't tread on our toes.
I can see it now. Yeah, this podcast is cool as fuck. That's got a good ring to it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
we should have nicked that one.
So, Kate, I do have something that I'd like to finish on, and that is, we've been asked by a listener of ours for me to do a section weekly called Visions of the Future. Now, I haven't done my first one yet, but if we were to jump forward 100 years from now, what would you think might have already started happening? Would we have people on Mars? What would be going on the moon, etc.?
That's a great question. So the first things that come to mind are, I think probably we will have put humans on Mars, but my guess is that it will be a bit similar to what we did on the moon, where we got there and everyone cheered and then there. Right. But I think one of the things I'm more excited about is exoplanet research. I think that in 100 years, I bet we will have gotten way better at imaging exoplanets and measuring their atmospheric compositions and that kind of thing. And I bet that we will have an indication of multiple planets that have some kind of life on them. That's what I'm hoping to see. But I think also just based on the sort of level of the rate of progress with exoplanet research, I think it's quite likely that we will get good enough to be able to detect signs of life in an atmosphere of a distant planet. And it's got to be out there, and I think we'll be able to detect it. So that's what I'm crossing my fingers for.
So
that makes me happy.
You're saying life. Do you mean just life or intelligent life?
I think I'm just going to go as far as life at this point. I personally, I believe that there's intelligent, technologically developed life out there for sure. I mean, it's completely insane to think that we are the only ones who've learned how to use tools and that kind of thing. But I think it's probably so far, few and far between in the universe that I don't think in 100 years we're going to find it. But, they're looking for things like gases in the atmosphere that would be produced by, life processes. Like they have, I mean, this is beyond my expertise, but this exoplanet or astrobiological community, I think they know what they're looking for in terms of like indicators of sort of biological processes. And I think it'll be microbial life, maybe some like, minnows or something like that. But I think that...
Don't get me started on Europa, Kate. Don't get me started on Europa. I'm already dreaming about it. Like we talked about it on a few shows ago, and I literally can't stop dreaming about life on Europa.
Yeah.
Or Enceladus.
And that's why I will die cold and alone.
Well, it's quite nice because Carl Sagan, I think, he wrote a paper and used I think it was either Pioneer or Voyager as it passed the Earth. They did an experiment to check for signs of life, and it's the first ever kind of experiment run that confirmed that there was life on Earth. And it was, but it was a first experiment where it was like, yes, this is the technology that you could use to eke out whether a exoplanet had life on it. So that's pretty that's very awesome. Yeah, I think I really, really hope that we spot life out there in the wilderness, because that would certainly put our place in the universe in a slightly. I never know which way it's going to go. Is it more frightening or less frightening? I don't know.
There's that. I think it's Arthur C. Clarke. It's actually in the book. I quote Arthur C. Clarke because he has this great line. I'm looking at the book right now, trying to find it, and it's here it is. Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. That's Arthur C. Clarke summing it up perfectly.
Yeah, it is summed up absolutely perfectly. Can I ask you one last question? Because we asked one of our other guests this question, and it's quite a fun one, even though we had one of our astronauts look at us and refuse to answer it. But what is your favourite space fact? One that just blows your mind every time you think about it.
It has got to be... so there are two.
You're allowed to.
One of them is the amount of debris that falls on the Earth from space every single day. And I'm looking up the exact number because it's absolutely insane.
I haven't heard this one before, so I'm excited for this.
It's something like, here it is. 100 tons every day falls on the Earth from, shooting stars, basically. So material.
100 tons.
100 tons every day. So the Earth is growing by 100 tons every day. And then the other one, sort of related, is that as the moon orbits the Earth, its gravity is tugging on the Earth, which slightly slows down the Earth's rotation. So the Earth is rotating a little bit slower all the time, very tiny amount. But that technically means that every day is the longest day of your life.
I must admit, I did spot something like that happening.
Yeah, right.
That is fantastic. Yeah, the 100 tons a day, and no one in the Western Hemisphere has, as far as we know, no one has ever been killed by a falling piece of space debris. Even though 100 tons of it come down every day.
That is officially how I want to die.
Your chances are very low.
Yes. But wouldn't it be special? Wouldn't it be great? I would go down in history.
Yeah, the only person to die from being hit by a meteor, yes.
And it would be, very apropos.
Particularly if it hit you in your Voyager tattoo.
Oh my God, yeah.
Thanks. Well, I have to say that just the titles of the book and what I can see, it's very, very much in line with what we do on the podcast, and so I'm sure our listeners will absolutely lap it up. There's so many funny titles, some really good ones, and it's often the sort of stuff that we talk about as well. Like we've got a bit on the multiverse. You talk about Tycho Brahe,
my favorite.
We talked about him a couple of weeks ago about how his cousin chopped his nose off and stuff.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
He was the best. I mean, he kind of sounds like maybe he was the worst if you had to live with him. But as historical figures go, he's one of my favorites because he's just so over the top.
Sounds over the top, doesn't it? I'm glad we don't settle disputes like that anymore, because me and Matt argue all the time about maths.
Yeah, you've swung for him a few times, but Jamie said he couldn't go on without his nose. So
this is true.
Fair enough.
Well, I think that people should definitely go to Amazon. Other good bookshops and stores are available, and what a great Christmas present that would be. It's a wonderful book, and it's called Space is Cool as Fuck by Kate Howells and friends.
Yes, go get it. Go read it.
Go get it.
Snap it up. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Well, thanks so much.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Let's catch up in the new year.
Yeah,
have a great Christmas.
Much. It's been a pleasure, and please have me back again someday.
Oh, absolutely.
We'd love that. Happy 2019.
Well, maybe try and get you and Harriet on the same show. That would be fun.
That would be great. I love Harriet. That'd be amazing.
Or maybe we might meet you at the Falcon Heavy launch when the solar light sail goes up.
I hope so. I really hope so.
That would be super cool. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas.
And you.
Thanks, Kate. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Cheerio. Bye.
The Interplanetary Podcast is alive!
Isn't she great?
I love the fact that she's Harriet's mate as well.
I know. We're keeping it in the Interplanetary Podcast family, aren't we, Matt?
Yes.
Wonderful stuff. So please go out, buy her book. It's amazing. And tell us what you think.
It's very, very up our straza.
I think she's going to be a regular guest. Excellent stuff.
Right, Jamie, I have a space fact for you.
Better be good, because it's nearly Christmas, so we need to ramp this stuff up.
It's kind of Christmassy, a Christmas space fact.
Here we go.
What happens when galaxies collide? I mean, if you look out the window right now, you can see Andromeda probably hurtling towards us at millions of miles an hour. I mean, it'll take a few millions and billions of years to crash into us, but still, it is going to crash into us. So what happens? What do you think? Do you think that lots of stars will bump into each other?
No.
Bear in mind, there's 100 billion stars in the Milky Way and 100 billion in Andromeda, and they're going to collide. How many stars?
But when you say collide, your first image is that everything's going to explode. But won't they just be sucked into one giant thing?
No, they're travelling really, really fast relative to each other. So no, they are hurtling towards each other.
All right, I'm going back to explosion then.
You're going back to explosion. Andromeda's coming at us at a ridiculously fast speed. Gravity's pulling these two massive objects together. It's just the distances in space are just ridiculous. That's all it is. That's all it is. So it's very unlikely that any stars will collide with one another.
Why?
Because the distance between the stars is just unbelievably massive, as we know. Just to get to Proxima Centauri, our nearest star.
Well, Matt, forget Proxima. Our sun is 93 million miles away. Absolutely ridiculous. And let's not even talk about Neptune.
Yeah, I know, but that's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I know, it's nothing. It's just nothing. So I always think this is a little bit like atoms not smashing into one another and having explosions as they knock into each other, because the nucleus of an atom is so
just talking
tiny.
of atoms, sorry to go off on a tangent, but can we talk about the photo that you put up online?
Oh my god. Yeah.
It is have we put that up on our Instagram page? If we haven't, we will. It might be the greatest photo ever.
It's certainly my favourite photo of the year, which is of where you can actually see an atom. It's a photo
for the first time ever, am I right?
Yeah,
this hasn't been photographed before.
Yeah, so they've managed to sort of suspend an atom in between these two probes, and it was done for a bit of fun on a wet Sunday afternoon, apparently. And yes, you can actually see the atom.
I love it. I mean, completely pointless, but brilliant.
Yeah. But it's a bit like that, Jamie, that we don't have nuclear explosions all the time because the nucleus of atoms is tiny, just like the nucleus of solar systems is tiny. This star in the immensity of space. So yes, the actual reality is when galaxies collide, the stars won't bump into one another. In fact,
thank God.
We may not even notice at all.
I was a bit worried.
Well, the only problem is, obviously, there's lots of gas and dust between us and the stars, and of course that will all interact and you'll get shock waves that might cause star formation, and it's probably a bad thing, but it's not as violent as you think, only from
There'll
a
be
distance.
even more gas in Devon on December the 26th because I've seen your Christmas table and there's lots of sprouts.
Yeah.
So steer clear, people. It could be dangerous. Don't light a match.
There's lots of sea air to blow it away.
That's true. That's true.
Jamie.
Yeah.
We've got one last episode this year.
I can't believe it.
We're going to be joined by We Martians and Miko.
What?
Yeah. We're going to be joined by those two lovely chaps.
Oh
and
my
discuss
goodness me.
all what happened in the year.
I'm really excited because these are two of our favourites and it's going to be a meeting of minds. I don't know what kind of minds, but a meeting of them.
Well, there's at least two clever ones.
Oh, two clever ones.
And then there's us two.
There's going to be beer. There's going to be
mince pies.
Probably some kind of chat, space chat.
Yeah, we'll try and put a bit of space in there. Not promising.
So look forward to that.
Yes.
And we've already got in the bag some amazing interviews coming up. So please keep listening. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And I tell you what, if you haven't been to our website, interplanetary.org.uk, is that the right address,
Yeah,
Matt?
then what are you doing?
Oh, I know.
It's just weird.
You will find links to our Instagram page, our Facebook page, our Twitter account, our merch store. Yes, you can buy merch from us just in time for Christmas. Hands up, who hasn't got an Interplanetary Podcast mug? You need one.
Big time.
But more importantly, Matt, what is the link that we love the most?
www.patreon.com/interplanetary.
So head over to iTunes, give us a nice review. If you can give us a couple of bucks a month, you'd be an absolute legend. And I tell you what, it doesn't stop there, Matt, does it? Because people can actually contribute to the show, can't they?
Oui, bébé, l'espace. Yeah, that was, in fact, a contribution from one of our patrons.
Come on.
We'll do a very big shout out to you next week.
We'll give you a Christmas shout out. So there's still in time to be on that shout out.
For this year, couldn't have been possible without you. The pair of us, the Interplanetary Podcast. We close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth.
Look up and be safe.
Bye-bye, Spodcat.
Merry Christmas.
We close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you.